afternoon, Yankee fans. How's everybody doing? I feel like I just spoke to you 5 minutes ago. How's everybody's day going on a Wednesday, which just brightened my day because of the guests that we're going to be bringing on. Real excited about it. And we're not gonna waste anybody's time. We're gonna go right to it. First off, I want to say hello to CT. Thank you for everything that you're doing for all of us. I really appreciate it. And I'm not going to waste any more time. I want to bring up the star of the show. We don't fool around here. We're going to bring up Billy Sample, ex-Yankee outfielder. How you doing?
Joe, it's been a long time. It's only been, about 34 years?
Yes, 1991. I saw you in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn.
That's right, with Arthur George.
Russ Jr., you came on our show.
Yeah.
And that's my claim to fame, having Art Russ Jr., you and Willie Randolph.
Oh, Willie. Oh, yeah.
Remember? I mean, my God. That's what well, first of all, welcome. How's your family? How you doing? That's the most important before we get into anything else.
Well, Joe, I'm still recovering from doing Pilates yesterday. I try to do Pilates and a little bit of yoga. And I don't know who told me that yoga was fluff. I think I must have incorporated in my mind, oh, yoga, that's really cute. No, yoga's hard. So geez. I wake up in the morning and wonder which body part's going to hurt today. Okay. So shoulder, which knee, right knee, lower back. And if I have 2 straight days that nothing hurts, I'm starting to worry.
I know. I'm starting to feel the same thing too. I just retired. My full-time job for the last almost 30 years, doorman concierge in Manhattan. So overnight. So I was a wolf man. I couldn't take it anymore. So I got to retire a little bit earlier. And I don't have Medicare yet, so I'm happy about that. No.
I tell you what, I was paying over $2,700 a month for insurance. I couldn't wait to get to Medicare.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I probably pay a total when you get all the supplements to it, maybe $400 a month or less.
No, it's probably less than that, right?
Big difference. So
yeah.
Stay young. There's no sense in getting older before you have to, but stay young.
It's only
but Medicare is probably not as bad. Well, hopefully it'll be there when you get to 65.
Well, better be. It's only a couple of years from now. I'm not as young as I look. No, just kidding.
I thought you were in your 40s.
Yeah, right. I'm 63. Are you kidding me? Oh my God! I just told everybody. Oh no, I want them to know. You got me in trouble, Billy. Thanks a lot.
Somebody in their 40s was old. I'm going 70. Where did the time go?
You look like you could still play left field for the Yankees.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Well, I want to get started. I want to ask you, first of all, we both want to ask you, when did you finally realize, you said, you know what? Or ask your parents or whoever, I want to be a ball player and I can do this thing. How did you know, and when did you know it?
I thought around the age of 15, Joe, that of the sports I was playing, basketball, football, and baseball, and I was probably a better football player growing up, although there's nobody around to challenge me. I thought around age 15 that if I was going to be a pro at something, I had a better chance at baseball. And I was drafted out of high school. It was in the 28th round. They don't have that many rounds anymore. They only have 20 rounds now. And
do they really? I thought it was more than that.
Yeah, I think they've reduced it to 20. And when Joe Branzel, the late great Joe Branzel, called me, and a group of us were in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for our graduation trip. And he finally got in touch with me. And this was long before it was on ESPN or MLB or whatever. He said, well, Bill, it's Joe Branzel, the Texas Rangers. We drafted you in the 28th round. And he could hear my disappointment over the phone. He said, well, Bill, at the time there were 24 teams. He said, well, Bill, 23 other teams passed over you 27 times. They don't blame us for drafting you.
Oh, my God.
I'm sure Joe used that line more than once, and I got a kick out of it later on.
That is a kicker, but you were better than that. That's for sure.
Well, I ended up going to James Madison, which at the time was not long from being an all-female institution. A baseball program was only 4 years old. And I went there, played in the summer league, the Shenandoah Valley League, which was really good, and was drafted in the 10th round. And our coach, Brad Babcock, was a great recruiter because from what was my sophomore year, I had 6 other players sign pro contracts. And this was from an all-female institution just a few years before that. So a great recruiter. One of the players, a 5'2" player out of Long Island, Todd Winterfeld, out of Seaford, Long Island. And he could do it all. He made it to AAA in the Mets organization. They converted him from a center fielder to a third baseman. I'm not exactly sure why, but he had some skills. And I had 2 teammates that played AA ball, and one teammate was a teammate of Cal Ripken Jr. in the minors, Mike Lacasse. So we had a good. I was fortunate enough to be around good players in college and a good summer league team. In fact, my first year in the summer league, I had 3 other players, teammates, who made it to the major leagues. Probably the most prominent was Gene Richards of the Padres, who could just slow fly. I mean, wow! You think you're fast? Now let me show you what fast is. And I think Gene had the National League record for a rookie stolen base record until Tim Raines broke it a couple of years after that. So you can just tell the kind of talent that was coming up through the minor leagues. But yeah, I was probably about 15 when I thought, Joe, that if I'm going to play pro in something, it's probably going to be baseball.
Now, in your younger days, though, did you go? You signed up for everything, or your family signed you up? You went everywhere, or you had this natural instinct? Hey, I can do this.
No. I sat on the bench quite a bit. I didn't start in baseball until I was 12, and I had a friend. And let me sort of back up a little bit. I grew up for the most part in Virginia, but 2 years when my parents moved to Brooklyn, I moved there ages 4 and 5. Other than that, my grandparents raised me. So we moved back to Virginia, and in Brooklyn, I went to school with whites, blacks, Puerto Ricans. In Virginia, when I moved back down at age 6, it was still segregated. In fact, I didn't go to school with white kids until I was in the 6th grade. And I had a white friend, Ronnie Gallagher, still is a friend, and he didn't live too far from me. And one day he said, "Why don't you come out and play for my team?" And I did. And I was the only African American on his team. And I wasn't really getting a lot of playing time in the black community. I wasn't good enough. And if you didn't play back in those days, you just didn't play. It wasn't like they had some limit of getting everybody into the game or so. So it was around that time. Junior Epperly was our coach, tough, gruff kind of man, a tough taskmaster. But it was the first time that I think I assumed some kind of ego from playing a sport and playing baseball. So I did okay. In fact, I had a teammate, Sandy Hill, who was the best player on the team that played AA ball in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. And I grew up in the minor league town of Salem, Virginia, which was a Pirates high A for most of my growing up. In fact, I got to play with a guy that I watched play when I was growing up as a kid, Mario Mendoza. And
yeah, sure. The Mendoza line.
Yeah, he didn't like that at all.
I figured that.
That some of the broadcasters who used that hit worse than he did. So
oh my God.
Yeah, Mario.
Yeah, we know that with some of the Yankee players, but we won't talk negative today.
No, Mario was a .215 lifetime hitter, but when we were teammates in 1981, I think he batted close to .240, maybe .230.
Right. You're right.
So I didn't realize he was that bad of a hitter. He could certainly field.
He can field. Yeah, he was a very good shortstop.
That kind of got under his burr a little bit, or burr under his saddle a little bit. But so anyway, I played summer league ball, 3 minors, made it to the majors, and I gave myself maybe 3-4 years. I wasn't a lifer kind of person with it. And if I didn't make it by that time, then I was going to look for something else. But everything went fairly well. I even survived going 0 for 37 in AA ball. I went 11 consecutive days without it.
Oh, jeez.
Still ended up hitting 348, but
you would fit really good in with this Yankee club right now. I don't want to diss them, but I'm just saying that would be.
You're in first place, aren't you? Wait a minute, you're in first place?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
Hanging by a thread.
Hanging by a thread.
You don't think Toronto's going to win a 4-game series, do you?
I don't know. The way we're playing, the way the Yanks are playing, I'm not sure yet.
Well, even if Toronto wins 3 out of 4, you're still going to be in first place.
Yes.
Yes.
But then we got to go play the bad old Mets.
Yeah, and they've been backing up a little bit too.
We need a right-handed hitter. What are you doing in Florida? Come back.
Wait a minute. Back. You've got some of the best right-handed hitters on the planet. Those big guys, 6'5" and 6'8" guys. Yeah.
Listen.
What else you need? It seems like you're in a traditional slump where you're not coordinating everything. The pitching is good, he's good. The fielding's not. Everybody's going to go through that.
We had to. Listen, we like to talk. They round me up because I get a little nuts, but they love it here. They call me the morning nut. That's why they call me JM in the AM. So forget about it. It's absolute. But I have my friends in the industry, that try to simmer me down. Actually, one of them is on the stream right now. 161 River Avenue has a tremendously wonderful Yankee show, and he asks, what would you say are things that you most and least like about the game of today, and how has it evolved around you?
Well, I realize it's a different generation all around, so some of the celebration that goes on, I just have to learn to accept it. I see some things that in my day, oh my goodness, you'd have to wear a whole lot of pitches in the ribs to get away with some of the stuff that I see going on today. But there's not much about the game that I don't like. We didn't make a whole lot of money back in the day, and I was a 2 stunts from my own good union man that allowed for better workers' rights and thus better salaries. So I shouldn't complain about it, because you want it to be better for the future. Like having kids, you want it to be better for the next generation. But there's not much that I don't like about the game.
What about analytics? What is your feeling?
Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up, CT, because I get a little too much of that. But I think those are a lot of the people that never played the game. So they're going to keep having analytics be a major part of what they do. I think you need to incorporate some common sense every once in a while, and maybe the managers have the freedom to do that. I don't know, and I sense that different clubs put a greater emphasis on analytics than others. I sense that the Yankees put a lot of. I just sense it just from watching the play that they put a lot of value into analytics.
That's what we feel.
I'd probably like it to be a little less with most clubs, but that's just the way they're going now. I think sometimes there's some things that you can't qualify with numbers or quantify with numbers. And I think there are but you have to be in the clubhouse to know that. You have to know which teammate I can count on in this situation. You have to know who's going to give you a little bit of extra there. And sometimes you can't measure that with numbers.
I feel like there's a lack sometimes of a feel of the game right in front of us. All of a sudden we're going to numbers. Meanwhile, somebody's been having a real good day, and we're taking them out and bringing somebody else in who does better against the lefty. And it changes the whole momentum of the game, and it changes the feel of the game. That's something that I personally don't like about the game today, but I was curious what your thoughts were.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I think a couple of times I look at it and I think the same way, that, that person should have stayed a little bit longer. Or is it really going to affect pitches in September that they throw 5 more here in July. So I agree with you, CT. I feel that same way, but it's what they do now, and I just have to. I know I'm an old curmudgeon, so I've got to try to go with the times.
Now, I have a question. It's basically the same one that Jason River Avenue asked, but I want to get it in there for you. It's from Yankees Unloaded, and they asked, "What do you think the difference is between yesterday and today?" I know it's kind of the same question, but they really want me to ask you it, so I wanted to get it out to you.
Outside of the money,
yeah, well.
The minimum salary when I came up, I tell people this, and it's hard to believe. The minimum salary when I came up was $21,000.
Right.
And that was during the double-digit inflation days of the late 1970s.
Right.
So you're getting 21, and you're maybe taking home 18. You're grossing 21. You're netting 18 after taxes.
This is your first year in Texas?
Younger players did it because obviously it's more expensive here than it is in Arlington, Texas. Because I couldn't make it last. And it took me in my third year that I made enough in straight salary that I didn't have to look for income in the off season. And now I don't know what the number. I think it's 760,000 somewhere.
Yes. To give or take, yes.
Off 700. If you're grossing 760, you're probably taking home, I don't know, a little over 5. You can live on that. You can go to a bank and say, okay, I feel like I'm going to establish myself and I like to buy a house, and you put a large down payment on it, and you can be set for the future. You can't do that on 18,000. So that was
but now you're talking about your early years. I mean, as you went on, I mean, it kept getting a little bit bigger, and that's going to lead to the next question from Bob here in Staten Island. He asks, how did you become a New York Yankee?
After my '84 season, I knew it was time to go. I come up with Texas in the latter part of 1978, and I was in 1983. I thought I had a breakout season, but in 1984, I reversed back to scuffling. It was a tough year, and I would like to put an asterisk beside it because my wife had a multiple sclerosis attack and spent most of the summer in the hospital, and I had 2 young kids to try to raise and coordinate and all that. But anyway, they drafted Odeby McDowell in the first round, so I knew that it was time to go. And I was in spring training at the time. The Rangers trained in Pompano Beach, nice city, horrible facilities. So I got traded for Toby Hare and another player to be named later. And the Yankees at that time were training in Fort Lauderdale, so I didn't have to go anywhere. So that was kind of nice. And I was essentially, the Yankees had Ken Griffey Sr., Dave Winfield, and it was Ricky Henderson's first year with the Yankees, first time with the Yankees. So I was essentially the 4th outfielder. For the most part, we had some other outfielders too. Henry Cotto came up later. Vic Mata was there. Dan Pascal was an outfielder, DH. And there wasn't a lot of playing time when you've got Ken Griffey Sr. and Ricky Henderson. Ricky started the season on hurt. And Dave Winfield. So whatever comes to playing time, I got then. So that's how it came. It was in spring training. I had my little mini press conference, and then George Steinbrenner came over and welcomed me to the club. I thought, well, that's really nice because I wasn't a big name like Ricky or anybody like that, but I must have sounded good in my press conference. I wanted to come over and meet this guy. And it was a different year. It was Yogi's, as many people know now, it was Yogi's last 16 games as a manager.
Right.
And Billy Martin took over for whatever tenure it was for Billy. I'm not exactly sure. But Yogi, everybody had such respect for Yogi, and what good people he and Carmen were. You just felt good just to have known. A lot of this, Joe, is that I feel good that I've met so many people that have been so instrumental in the game and stars of the game. And we all sort of treat each other like we're the same. When I was with the Braves my last year, and Willie Stargell, the late great Willie Stargell, was first base coach, and I would get on him like he didn't hit 475 home runs lifetime. It was just, and everybody just wore it well. Everybody just took it. It was just a nice fraternity that way. In fact, one of the good things about being with the Yankees is that a lot of these people that I saw growing up, and when I was growing up, we only got the game of the week when Southwest Virginia. That's all you saw. And a lot of times it was the Yankees on the game of the week, even though they weren't playing particularly well during that stretch. But I get to see, I don't know, a Clete Boyer and meet these Kubek and Bobby Richardson and Joe Pepitone. And Joe will, well, Joe's no longer with us, but Joe would get on me. We'd be at a charity function in Greenwich, Connecticut, and Joe would bust on me like we were teammates. And I was 7 years old when he was in big leagues for the first time. So that's really nice, and I appreciated that. I didn't have many heroes. I didn't copy anybody's batting stance or anything like that, but I did admire the way that Roy White conducted himself. I thought you could almost see it through the screen. He had a classy about him, and our careers intersected, overlapped maybe 1 year, or maybe a little more than 1 year. And I wanted to tell him that at some point, as the sides retired, I was going to run, hey, but I chickened out. I couldn't do that. So anyway, when I got traded from the Rangers to the Yankees, Roy was working in the front office, and I called him over to my clubhouse stall, and I said, Roy, look, I didn't have role models and things like that, but I always admired the sort of classy, distinguished way that you carried yourself and played the game. And Roy's got this really deep voice. He says, "Yeah, right, Bill. Right."
Yeah, exactly how he talks. That's right.
He thought I was putting him on, but he probably just felt embarrassed by the compliment. But it was good, and he is really. I've been with Roy at a number of charities. What a classy guy he is.
Always, he is, and I know he ended his career in Japan, so he went there at 79. I was hoping that he'd stay another year or two. And because he ended the year Thurman Munson passed. Mm-hmm. So that was a bad transition and all that. And I was really hoping they'd bring him back and play in the 80, and they went in the playoffs again. And that was the Goose Gossage getting creamed by George Brett. If you remember going back, we're going back further, but yeah. So let me ask you something though. So you started with Yogi Berra. This is what a lot of people want to know. This is the hottie. You started with Berra. He gets fired. Billy Martin comes. How different? First of all, how did you guys feel? I mean, I know you felt really bad for Yogi, but what was the contrast of playing for two managers? And in your opinion, how was Billy Martin?
Well, I think there was a big contrast. Yogi was kind of laid back, and Billy was very aggressive. And I think Billy played every game like it was series, which works for a short amount of time, I think. And I can understand why he has great success early, and then it wanes a little bit down the road, because when you play every game like it's the final game, there's some pitchers that aren't being used for 20 days or so, and then they have to pitch, and when they pitch, they haven't been on the mound, so their control is not good. So I think that sometimes you make a sacrifice when you do something to one end, and then it comes back sometimes at the end, and it's not so good. And then Billy, I think everybody knows Billy had some issues, but what a great tactician though. He knew everything, knew everybody, knew what the umpires did, who they were, what they liked, what they didn't like. He could break a game down for you. Now, you'd have to play some Billy ball, which means you had to forsake the 3-run homer that Earl Weaver likes to play some of the smaller ball, because I think you can take credit for smaller ball than you can for the 3-run homer. But I certainly understood why he was very successful, especially early when he took over a club.
Did you the year that you were there, did you think that the Yankees had a chance? Where I believe they were lacking pitching, because I think you had enough hitting. But
yeah, I think Toronto might have had a little more pitching. They ended up winning 99 games, and we won 97. That was before the wild card. I think what really helped them, Toronto, though, is that their closer, I want to say it was Cottle, was hurt, and they brought up Tom Henke,
Tom
and
Yankee, right?
actually teammates with me in Texas, and they didn't lose a game every time Henke appeared in a game. They didn't, and I think that really helped them down the stretch. But we had good, but they had good pitching too. They had Steve and Key, and they had guys that but it was very close. It was very close. But we had a 3-game series in Toronto, trailing them by 3. So we would have had to sweep and win the wild card game, and that was tough to do. We won the first night, and Phil Negro got his 300th hit.
Right.
And
it took him 7 times to do it. He finally did it.
And but it was interesting because the Yankees in '85 weren't in first place ever and finished 2 games out. And I was on a team in '83 in Texas. We were in first place for 40 games, and we didn't play 500 ball in the end. So it's crazy like that. But it was my goodness, it was Mattingly's MVP season. It was Guidry's last 20-win season. Baylor was the DH. The outfielders I mentioned, Willie Randolph at second. Bobby,
that's an all-star team almost.
Yeah.
But they couldn't pitch. The pitching was atrocious. That was the problem.
Brian Fisher came up and he pitched well in spot starts and setting up Righetti, who closed. But I think Toronto's pitching was just a tad better.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So okay, so you have the year with the Yankees. Now, was it free agency? Were you because I'm trying to put this.
I was on their contract. The last year was in Texas, 84, 85, 86. So I was on 3.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
And then and so, how did you feel? Did you? How was the exact year playing for the New York Yankees? Is it different? Is it different playing for the Yankees? I mean, the truth.
There's something going on every day, and I don't know whether it was just because it was the Steinbrenner era or there was. Let's see. That was the year I think George called Winfield Mr. May.
Right.
And maybe that worked in the 70s where people would rally around, oh, we'll show him. Or it didn't work so much, I didn't think, in the mid 80s. It was one of those that, did you really have to say that? It kind of cast a pall over you a little bit, I thought. But that's the way it was. In fact, I told some of the sports writers that they were really lucky because you don't have to look for a story. Just the story will evolve right in front of your eyes. And that was the case, I think, there. There was something going on every day. And at times, it's tough enough to play the team across the diamond from you, but you don't really want to have to deal with internal stuff all the time as well. But it was really a talented team. My goodness, I'm glad I had the opportunity to play and to be around some of those guys. It was a little different than Texas. I think the players are a little more guarded because you get hit by media, I think. Although we didn't have all that. We had quite a bit of media in Arlington too, but I think that because it was New York and you might think you're saying something and it's a throwaway line and it might be back pages. So I think the players are a little more guarded there. But,
Now, Billy, something you mentioned is that when you grew up, you played multiple sports.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I grew up, I played basketball, I ran cross country, I played baseball. Now, do you think, I know I'm kind of shifting this gear here, but I did want to ask you, do you think that has something to do with the injury issues with baseball now? Is that baseball players now are fixated on just one sport, and that's what they do the whole year round, rather than their bodies being able to get adapted to different sports?
I don't know if that's necessarily the case, CT, but I really think that if I had to advise somebody, I would say play as many sports as you want to. I think one sport helps the other. And maybe soccer. Soccer would be good for footwork in any sport. Whether you're playing basketball, that's a great sport to play, and it's not really one that's a hard contact sport. But I'm glad I played 3 sports, and some sports would help other sports, but just to play the one sport, I don't know. I didn't think about the injury that you brought up. That's why some of the players might be going through injuries because they play only one sport, and that's baseball. But I'm really glad that I had the opportunity, and would advise people to play as many sports as you want to play.
No, thank you for that answer. I was curious about what you thought about that. Thank you.
Yeah, I was a second-team All-State wide receiver. Not that anybody would know, except when I bring it up. But I had an All-State quarterback, so that helped too, and I had really good teammates. We played. I guess you guys have seen the movie Remember the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in real life, they played us in the state finals, but they beat us so bad that they couldn't
make a movie out of it.
Replicate us playing him in the state finals. So in the movie, they played George Marshall, which was one of their district teams, and the game, I guess, was that close because the final game, close game they played that year. I think they beat them 19-14, and they shut out 7 other of their 13 opponents, and they shut us out too. We had an early touchdown call back and mounted no offense after that. Wow. I had 2 drops.
Oh no!
And not that I still live with that memory from 54 years ago.
That was only yesterday. Come on. Ken, we have a question actually from one of our other co-hosts in the morning, Ken, and he asks, looking through your stats, you really didn't strike out that much, but now you're seeing players nowadays striking out 200 times or more. What are your feelings on that?
Well, I couldn't strike out much. At my size, at 5'9.5" and 180 pounds, if I carried the bat back to the dugout too many times, and there was going to be a bus ride somewhere in the future. I guess the feeling, maybe that's analytics that CT had mentioned, that they figure an outs and out. I don't know. I felt that at times I made productive outs, especially if there's a runner at second and nobody out and you've got to advance the runner. I didn't like, but back in the day, they didn't strike out a lot, though. DiMaggio didn't strike out a lot. Yogi Berra didn't strike out a lot. They hardly ever struck out. So I don't know what the difference is. Now, granted, there might be more pitches nowadays, more wipeout pitches that they had that they didn't have to face. But I didn't like that trip back to the dugout. In fact, earlier I mentioned Tony Kubek, and I told him at times when I was growing up watching him play that I saw that whenever he struck out, he ran back to the dugout.
He did. I remember seeing photos of that. I always used to say, why is he always running? Because he doesn't want to be, he doesn't want to be booed. All of that. So that's a little crazy. But speaking of let's say runners and stuff, what do you think of the ghost runner? Now let's say we move forward. I think my opinion takes away from the game. I don't like it.
It seems as though, Joe, every change they've made that an old timer like me thinks, really, that it works for them. As long as, they won't incorporate that into the postseason, so we know that's never going to happen. But
no.
I kind of come to accept it a little more now that, okay, you don't want to wear out your pitching staff, having them pitch 16, 17 innings, but it doesn't seem, because the game is still going to be competitive. But now you see more teams using a non-pitcher to finish games. And I don't know about that one. That one, I guess I'll come to accept that as well, but not one that I'd like to see a lot of the time. But they seem to have fun with it. But it seems to happen more than I think it. I shouldn't say I think it should, but it seems to happen more than I would have thought it would happen. Yeah.
You have a question here from Bob. Bob asked, when you were playing, the average, everybody here is throwing 100 miles an hour, and they never really said too much on the broadcast who's throwing what. From what you experienced, was there a lot of hard throwers? We know Nolan Ryan, of course, Randy Johnson, people like that, but Do you think they? I mean, obviously they throw harder now. Which era would you have liked to play? You know, which one is better suited for you?
Well, I was a high fastball hitter, so I didn't. That if you had gas, I had a swing for it. It was the wrinkles that, that I was susceptible to. Um, and I only faced Nolan twice. I had 2 starts against him in his last year with the Angels in my first full season. And I don't recall anybody throwing harder than he threw. I think the American League back in those days, they didn't have the hard throwers that the National League had. And maybe for a couple of reasons. One, because the National League had didn't have the pitchers hitting the National League. So I think one run means more in the National League. So a lot of those guys, the Seavers and the J.R. Richard and they Don Wilsons and Larry Dirkers, and they had some guys that come at you, Gentry, all hard throwers. I don't think the American League had the velocity that the National Leaguers had. I think the American League was more of a breaking ball league, and if you use the breaking ball more, your fastball is probably not going to have the same mileage as in the National League, where you use the fastball more because one run means more because you've got the pitcher hitting, as opposed to the American League where you're at the DH, so you have more legitimate hitters that can erase deficits earlier than you do in the National League. So I would watch games, Cubs games in the afternoon, and going, "Oh my goodness, did you see that? He threw him a 3-1 fastball. I can't believe he threw." In the American League, you better start looking for this. Yeah, we got some. I I remember Ted Simmons, his first year.
With the Cardinals.
First year that he was with the Brewers, and he was scuffling. I think he hit 215 his first year. Now,
yes, he was. The first year he had a lot of problems.
Yeah, because they just and I had a teammate, Larry Parrish, that came over from Montreal, and he's that first couple of months before he adjusted, it was a tough go for him. And when he adjusted, he figured it out, as did Ted Simmons. But initially, because you get different pitch patterns. 3-1 fastballs, you don't get that in the American. Back in the day, you didn't get that in the American League. In fact, I remember Doug Flynn, who was a good fielding second baseman with
went in the Seaver trade.
Yeah, went to Cincinnati and the Mets, and he came over. And everybody played in Texas, it seemed like, for some period of time. And somebody threw him a 3-1 curveball, and I don't ever saw a 3-1 curveball in the National League. And I'm just grinning, I'm laughing, chuckling, like, yeah, welcome to the American League. Yeah, you don't get to sit back and just react to a 3-1 fastball. You better learn how to hit over here, because we don't play that over there.
Yeah, really, my God. Now, you mentioned one guy that I know Ron Guidry has nightmares of, Larry Parrish. The year that he went 25-3. He lost 2 games because of Larry Parrish with the home runs, and I was at one of those games, and I wanted to choke him.
You remember when they had the ambulances in the?
Yes, they had in left center field, of course.
LP would go up there once a trip.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness!
Do you remember?
I'm going, and they would throw him the same way. I'm going, what is the scouting report they have on the LP? They just keep fastballs out over the plate. They kept throwing them fastballs out over the plate. He kept hitting them.
I'm not sure if you were involved in the game, but do you remember the 0-0 game going into the 9th inning, and then Parrish hit a home run and beat Guidry 2-0?
I'm not sure if I was there.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I know it was no, you might have been on the Yanks, because I think it was 85.
Was that 85? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go here and continue to charge my phone here. Oh, listen, I see that. I tell you a good story from the 85 season. I was, and pardon me for having to move on you there.
Don't worry about it.
So we have, so we're playing Texas at the stadium. And one of their young pitchers, right-hander, I think his name was Greg Cook, he hit a couple of the Yankee players. And hit them well with hard sliders, but he didn't mean to hit them. But at some point, now this is where the game becomes subjective. So what do you do? Now, you know they didn't mean to do it, but you can't keep having your players get hit, that sort of thing, where it gets very subjective and as to what your answer is going to be. And so Joe Cowley was pitching for us. So the next half inning, Curtis Wilkerson, their shortstop, comes up. Cowley throws him a first pitch fastball strike, hits him in the head the second
Oh,
pitch.
yes, he hit him in the head. I remember that now. Yes.
So at that point, you're going, well, was that overkill or just because once you throw the strike, you figure that all things are off. If you flipped him the first pitch, then okay, well, we got the message and sort of thing. But you throw a strike thinking it's off, and you hit him in the head the second pitch. So Toby Hare, now Toby's never going to admit to this, but it was one of the greatest things I'd ever seen. Toby, and I was traded for Toby. So Toby chops the ball off the plate in the next half inning. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that inning. Chops the ball off the plate far enough that the catcher can't make a play on it. Not far enough for the first baseman to make a play on it. And Cowley comes off the mound to make a play. Now, in slow motion, you could see that Toby ran out of the baseline just a little bit, but it was close enough that live that you didn't think anything about it. And when Cowley went to field, Toby broke his nose.
Right.
And I thought, wow, that was what I said. You kind of get up like you've been insulted, and go, yeah, that's a pretty good play, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't know how he did that.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was the way you handle things back in the day.
We have a question for you from Sean Browning. What was it like to play for the boss?
Well, that year it was crazy. He wasn't around that much, but you knew when he was around because everybody would just sort of walk even a little more tense than they were before they found out he was there. The interesting part, especially after Billy Martin took over, going from George to Billy to the media to the players and back up, that whole interaction was interesting. There was something going on all the time, but he wasn't around much. As I said earlier, he called Winfield Mr. May. I think that was the year he did that. And let's see, there was some talk. We had some situation with the union and management about drug testing, and I think there was a period where George was taking a hold on trying to get drug testing or recreational drug testing passed, and that didn't work. But he really wasn't around that much. He didn't say much, but when he was around, you knew he was around.
Did he really sense you guys up? It was like, oh my God, George is coming down, or I mean. Because some of the players that I've spoken to, I mean, some of them were actually petrified. They were like they didn't know what to expect. Well, then him coming in and like, what's the matter with you? I don't like the way you put your tie on. I don't like it. I don't like you're not supposed to eat turkey. You got to have roast beef, man. Be a man. And I mean,
I've heard of those interactions with people, but I don't think we had it that year. I think the only one that he really had, and that was, for the most part, through the press, was with Winfield, and that was the Winfield Foundation year. Yeah. That was the beginning of George scrutinizing Winfield's foundation and where his money, because Dave had in his contract that a certain amount of money would go into the foundation, and I guess George didn't feel as though he was getting his money's worth, or maybe Dave wasn't applying the money the way he wanted him to. So they had consternation between each other there, and some interaction, but for the most part, you just knew. You could feel, you could cut the tension sometimes with a knife, but aside from that, he really didn't show up that much in 1985. But when he showed up, that it had
exactly.
I don't know, consequences may be a little too strong a word, but there were some repercussions from it. Yeah.
No, Billy, in 1981, you had a 19-game hitting streak. What was that like? Were you counting the hits, or did you lose track and somebody just brought up, yeah, that was your 19th hit, or were you paying attention to this whole streak?
Well, I had an 18-game hitting streak the year before. Didn't really hit much for an average, but I did. Well, this was interesting because it was going to be my breakout year, 1981. And I was playing well. I was leading the league in doubles after the first month. And the light stanchions were so low in Arlington, I guess because it was a former minor league park, that every line drive went into the light if you're an all-fielder. And most of the time, the line drives would come out at some point, but every once in a while you'd lose one. Like I lost one at Memorial Stadium, too, in Baltimore, and they had low light stanchions, too. So UL Washington hits a line drive, and I think I know where it is. So I run to it and waited for it to come out of the lights. But by the time it came out, it was so low to the ground that I made the catch, but I couldn't lift my glove. So I made the catch, rolled on it, and broke the ulnar styloid bone in my left wrist. So I go on the DL, or the what do they call it now, injured list, and I missed a month. So I had a hitting streak, then missed a month, came back, and I think I got some hits again. And then in 1981, we had the labor impasse for 50 days. So I had an 18-game hitting streak going into the labor impasse. And then when we came out of it, we were facing the Yankees, and I got a hit, I think, off Tommy John to make it 19. And the next night, Righetti dominated me like Righetti usually dominated me. And but the sad part about it is that Dave was a Rangers prospect. He signed with the Rangers. We were teammates in instructional ball, and they threw him in this 10-player trade like he was. He struck out. You're gonna get me going. He struck out 21 in a Double-A game, and you throw him into a trade, a 10-player trade between the Yankees and the Rangers, which they made a lot of trades because Brad Corbett, the owner of the Rangers, was a New Yorker, and he and Steinbrenner made a lot of trades. In fact, how many former Yankees ended up in Texas for a while? Mickey Rivers, Bucky Dent, Ed Figueroa.
Oscar Gamble, I believe.
Oscar went the other way. Oh, that was another one. Another one of those great Texas Rangers trades. So they made a trade for Mickey Rivers in 1979, and we were playing well, good ball. And but the Rangers had traded players who hadn't cleared waivers. So because of that mistake, there were some players to go to the Yankees to be named later, probably after the season. Mm-hmm. And evidently Oscar Gamble was one of those players. I have no idea. He was our leading hitter at the time, and Oscar was just a delight to be around. And so we had to trade. So at one point, Mickey, who doesn't take a lot of team pictures, Mickey and Oscar were both on just at the time we took our team picture, they're both on the Rangers at the same time. And then the next day, Oscar goes to the Yankees. Geez. And so they made trades like that all the time. So Oscar went from the Rangers Oscar went from the Padres to the Rangers to the Yankees.
He had that perfect Yankee Stadium swing. You know, if anybody had one, he was electric. He really was electric. The one guy growing up, and I know you're going to know this guy, and I'm pretty sure you played with him. Oh my God! Every time he came up, if they had a betting war, I would have made $1 million. Scott Fletcher. He killed the Yankees. Killed them.
Scott. Scott's a little younger than me. Did he? You had that one, huh? Yeah. No, I'm a little bit older than Scott, but I remember his time in Texas. Yeah.
Hey, Joe, do you mind if I ask one more question and I'll leave the rest of his crew?
Go ahead.
I wanted to bring up Billy, you've had quite the broadcasting career. You broadcasted for the Braves, the Mariners, the Angels. You contributed to NPR, CBS, ESPN, Major League Baseball.com. You were published in Sports Illustrated, New York Times, and you were also consulted for HBO's Joe Torre Curveballs along the way. And you wrote your first book that Joe wanted you to bring up. And I wanted to ask, from going from a baseball player to being a broadcaster to finally being involved with writing your own book, what was the learning of all this? What did you learn about yourself from being a player to doing the broadcasting to writing a book and really having a good view of your whole career in general?
CT, I learned that I needed a job. That's pretty much it. I did some writing and broadcasting when I was a player. In fact, in 1981, I had a show, post-game show on, it was a radio show. Brett Lewis, now the late Brett Lewis, had given me that opportunity. And I could talk about anything. I think they only edited once for time, but it was essentially a minute a night afterwards. And they paid me good money back in the day for that. I was making, I wasn't making a whole lot of money as a player. So anytime you got a little extra income, that was great. And I've always felt that I could add a little to people's appreciation of the game. So as a broadcaster and doing what little play-by-play I did, you control the mic a little better, so I could point out nuances that maybe people wouldn't get from someone else. So I think I go with that moniker that I would, the guy who would want to enhance your appreciation of the game. So I do it with writing. I do it with broadcasting. I enjoy writing. I was fairly close with some of the English teachers in high school who helped me with themes of things that I wanted to do. I should say that they were all hot looking, so it was a little easier for me to say that and absorb their knowledge. But I probably enjoy writing as much as anything. And
can we have a little preview of the book?
Yeah.
All right, now I got to switch back now because I had to plug the phone in. All right. You'd think I'd be prepared for things like that. Yeah.
This is real.
Here it is. Can you see it? Oh, let me see it. Yeah, put my glasses back in. All right. This is, you can
go more in the center.
Center?
More, yeah, that's good.
There we go.
A Year in Pinstripes and Then Some. I enjoyed it. You can probably read it in 2 bathroom trips. And,
will you give yourself some credit, please?
And there's some pictures in here. There's plenty. I got pictures of Ricky Henderson and I in here, which I think is one of my more cherished pictures in there now, especially since Ricky's no longer around. Yeah. So it's nice. And in fact, a lot of that 1985 season, that was the year, Billy. I just had it and lost it here. That was the year this is about. But it was fun. It was one of the things about Ricky. I didn't realize. I kind of thought of Ricky as a little more than a nuisance playing against him, because he was on base all the time, and he would steal bases at times where I'm thinking, wait a minute, you didn't need to steal that base. Yeah. But I didn't realize how cut he was and how muscular he was. Oh my goodness. I went, oh, okay. And I would speak to Ricky a little bit afterwards, and he was going to play football at one of the Arizona schools until his baseball scout, and his mother kind of maneuvered him so that he wouldn't play football. I guess she didn't want him to get hurt. But he used to run stadiums and stuff, and that's his leg strength was just incredible. And not many people could steal bases the way that he stole bases, because he was just so strong in his legs. The way he would bounce and take off is just not many of us had that kind of leg strength. And we had strong legs. I'm sure a lot of us did, but not like not like Ricky did, but he said he ran stadiums when he was younger and playing football, and that certainly helped him. And I think it helped a little bit too to have Billy Martin. We're talking about Billy Martin's influence, to have Billy Martin as his manager too, because Billy got the umpires. Ricky would come out of a little crouch. Well, one, he was strong enough; his legs were strong enough that he could bat out of a crouch like that and get some productivity out of it. But two, he would come out of, let's say you throw high in the strike zone fastball, you're throwing it 96 miles an hour. He takes that for a ball because I think Billy Martin got the umpires not to call that pitch high in the strike zone based on how Ricky's approach was. But if you throw it 86, he's going to leave on you. So I think Billy Martin had a good influence on Ricky, and Tom Troublehorn did in the minors as well. When Ricky was scuffling, as a lot of us scuffled as you're going through the minors, he helped him psychologically, I think, and I think Ricky has alluded to that quite a few times in passing. But but with the Yankees, what a tremendous player! I got to appreciate him more with the Yankees than I did playing against him when he was with Oakland.
Now, your book, the book, can that be bought on Amazon now, or where's the?
Yeah, it's on. You can still get it on Kindle. They have the updated version, the 2018 version, and if you happen to go to Amazon, get the 2008. There's a 2016 and a 2018. We get the updated 2018. And again, it's just I think you'll leave with a little smile. That's probably what let's see, who else I'll talk about it. I talk about Pete Sheehy, the longtime clubhouse man.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he serviced Babe Ruth.
Yeah. And I would sit back because I didn't have anything else to do, and I love history. So when Pete would tell you some things about it, and he would kind of cover his mouth like he was telling a big secret. And one of the secrets that I didn't know whether I should tell or not, because I don't like telling things that I think should be kept in the locker room. But Pete he talked about Babe Ruth, and he said Babe Ruth never flushed the toilet. And
I believe that.
Yeah, and I said, but then I saw where Pete said it somewhere, and it was quoted Pete somewhere. Pete was quoted as saying that, so I figured, okay, well, I can say it if Pete says it. Then I can say that Pete said it if Pete is on the record as far as saying it. I'm in here. This is Ricky here somewhere. I can't.
Oh yeah.
But this picture of Ricky and me in here. Uh-huh.
That's awesome. Oh, yeah. We did put the book on Amazon on our stream here, Billy. Just
thanks, Joe. Yeah.
Amazon
gets most of the money, but yeah.
It's
Bezos needs that money. He really does.
Yeah,
have another wedding to go to.
When you have a wedding, you hope that a few dollars come. And for sure, and we'll have that on my link on NY Yankee Mania for you.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
I will definitely keep that on. And again, we can't, if you have a few more minutes, we appreciate it, but it can't.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. You have a question here from SGA Sports Talk. He is in the West Coast. Who was your favorite teammates when you were playing?
Everybody asked that. The baseball collectors, they ask. That's the most oft asked question. Who's your favorite teammate? And I generally tell them I didn't have one. I really didn't have a favorite.
That's a good
teammate.
answer.
Yeah, well, and then I'll add in a little addendum and said I wouldn't want to incriminate another teammate for hanging around riffraff like me.
Oh, jeez. Somehow I don't think you were a troublemaker, my friend. Yeah. I've seen it firsthand.
I don't know. I tell people not only do I have skeletons in my closet, but I have bodies still decomposing.
Oh my God.
Billy, this is my last question, and I'm going to leave this all to Joe. Who is your favorite team to play with? After this, I want Joe to finish this off. This is Joe's channel, and I want him to be able to take off.
CT, whoever was winning the most. It was 83 Rangers was fun until the second half. we were dealing a little bit. Even got a game of the week, which we hardly did back in those days in Texas. And 85. I'm glad I had the 85 season excuse me, with the Yankees. That was it was a little bit of watching how the other half lives and being around some tremendous talent, even though we came up a little short.
Is it everything that you thought being a Yankee? That's what everybody wants. Is it totally different? You put on those pinstripes. And you tell the truth. Don't worry about it. I just want
No. I'm thinking. Sparky Al, again, another Yankee player that played for Texas. And yes. Sparky said that he indicated that there was something about that you could feel, and I'm badly paraphrasing, but that you could feel the ghost of whoever Yankee greats on the mound or something like that. He thought there really was, he had a feeling that really was there, and it helped him, and he kind of enveloped it, I guess. I looked at him when he said that, like, okay, are you putting me on?
He was the ghost at the beginning.
Yeah, I go, Sparky, really. You just want to see if I take the bait. No. But he was serious. And Sparky could be as irreverent as anybody, but he was dead serious about that. He could feel whatever that is. I don't know if you call it a ghost or I guess there are a few other terms you could use for that, but that there was something to it about the past, about the legends who had been in that situation that he was in at that moment. Mm-hmm.
You have sure, you probably will remember when we were together in '91. My partner, who I'm actually godson to her child now, Teresa. She asked, first of all, hello, and she sends you a big hug. That's number one. And also, she says, from all your playing days, your first paycheck. When you finally got that first paycheck, did you finally say to yourself, I made it. I did it. All the hard work, all the grind, and what the family was put through, and all that. How was your first paycheck? How did you I know it wasn't.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say that first paycheck wasn't.
In other words, did you save your first paycheck to say, "Wow, I did this"?
No, no. I'm not that sentimental, Joe. When I first, I tell you what. When I was in AAA, and there were some guys going up. I know Nelson Norman went up and then came back down to fill in when Burt Campaneris was hurt. So I had some teammates who had been up. And as I was saying earlier, I figured I'd give myself 3 or 4 years. If it worked out, fine. If it didn't, I'd try to find another job. I played short season A, rookie ball. I skipped a AA ball just by chance. Marty Martinez needed more hitting on this AA club. I was so marginal that I had to carry his golf equipment to Tulsa from Plant City, Florida to Tulsa, and then played AAA. And Rich Donnelly was our manager, and Rich, longtime major league coach.
Oh yeah.
And he said with about 3 games left in the season, we were in Albuquerque. We were playing out of Tucson. And he said, "You're going." He called me over and said, "You're going up." And I said, "Thank you." And it wasn't. I figured that I had done everything that I needed to do in order to get to the major leagues. And so when the season ended, we flew back to Tucson, and then we met the club in Milwaukee. So we have early morning flights. It was milk run flights that you have. Tucson to Phoenix, Phoenix to Chicago, Chicago to Milwaukee. Anyway, by the time we got to the ballpark, and the Rangers were, I think, 5.5 out at the time, and I walk into the clubhouse, and the lineup card's up. That's how late we got there. The lineup card was up, and it had Sample leading off, which was okay. I didn't think I was going to play that soon, but okay, that's fine. But it had 4 beside my name, and I think 4 meaning second base. And I think I still have the Texas League record for most errors by second baseman.
Oh my God!
They figured my bat was going to precede my glove to the majors, and I wasn't going to unseat Bump Wills at second base anyway, so I was going to have to move at some point. And but I that was the only part that was a little unnerving about it. I think I said to Paul Hagan, a Hall of Fame writer, mostly with the Phillies, and I said, "Does Mr. Hunter know I don't play second base anymore?" and I remember Doc Ellis, and I thought it was a fake lineup. I thought, okay, they're having fun. And then Doc Ellis came up to me and said, "Oh, good luck, young man." I went, "Oh, they're serious now. Oh, all right." So, and still nobody told me anything. I remember running down the lines before the game. I was leading off, as I said, and Richie Zisk, in his sort of avuncular way, it said, "It's just like AAA, so you don't get too excited." And I wasn't really that nervous about it. And maybe with 10 minutes before game time, Billy Hunter called me over and said they felt that Bump Wills was the switch hitting Bump Wills was struggling a little bit from his right side, so they were going to give him one less at bat from the right side. So okay, so no matter what I did, Bump was going to go in the game. Okay, and so Jerry Augustine's first pitch, I hit a line drive to right center, and Sixto Lescano managed to get a glove on it. What are you doing? And anyway, so it was my first hit. So I'm there with the Cheshire Cat eating grin on my face, and here comes Bump to pitch run for me. My day's over. I have no idea what Bob Uecker thought was going on.
Jeez.
But that was it. So, yeah, but I'm not really that sentimental about that. But I understand what you're saying. At first, and now I don't have my first hit. I don't think in the moves I must have lost the ball somewhere. And somebody was trying to negotiate with me for my first home run ball, but they never came through with it. They kept trying to up the ante for what they could get. And I don't really care that much. It's fine. But it was good. The older I get, the better I was, and the more I flash back and think about it. And I go through some of these baseball references, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I wasn't all that bad.
No, you weren't. You had a very good career.
But they didn't, Joe, they didn't throw out compliments back in the day. No, they didn't.
Now they know what time you go to the restroom. So, I mean, it's that crazy. It really is that crazy. But no, honestly, just a couple of quickies. Your relationship, how did you get together with Art Rush Jr.? Was that just you were on his show, or did you? Because how was I lucky enough to get you to I mean, I know we talked, and I felt so proud that you were coming to the event to be on our radio show.
Well, I was when I was traded in spring training, as I was telling you earlier. Art had called and wanted me on his show, and I forgot about it. And and I felt so bad. And then so the second night I remembered, and I was full of apologies to Art. Oh, I'm sorry. A lot of things going on, and Art, you just sort of shooed me away from complaining about my ability to recall. And so I think it started from there. And Art was kind of that's right. And Art and I did a show together. Well, I was a contributor to the show. Oh, Tom Lewandowski was one of the and Tom passed away last year. It was a show on Sports Channel, and Art was the host of the show. It was what was the name of the show? The Art of Baseball, and I was a contributor on that. And so we stayed in close contact that way. And I'm sorry I didn't stay even closer. Because Art was one of the interesting person, and I learned a lot from him. So that was the genesis of my relationship with Art was failing to show up on his radio show and then showing up the next day.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's great. I'm really hoping that everybody got to hear that, because it did freeze for a little bit, and we didn't get the whole thing.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
CT, can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you while we're waiting for Joe to come back. On September 2nd, 1978, you hit a single off the first pitch you faced.
Yeah, that was the one I was describing. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how did that feel? How did that feel to come right out of the gate swinging?
Well, you don't have to worry about when I'm going to get that first hit. So that was alleviated. I was a first ball fastball hitter anyway. So
Yeah,
it's sort of it sort of played into my personality.
yeah.
But yeah, it was good to get that out of the way. Unfortunately we didn't win the game though. But it was a good day and a good evening. Yeah, it was.
I know I kind of asked you the same question, but I was curious when you played for like the Rangers and you played for the Yankees and the Braves. What were the three different things between those three teams that made them stand out? You know, as playing for them. What was different playing for the Rangers, say, compared to the Yankees or the Braves?
Well, one of the things, CT, that I don't know if a lot of people realize just how smart, and I don't mean necessarily perspicaciously smart, but just SAT college board smart. A lot of these people are. A lot of my teammates just like, wow, that's because your smartness doesn't really come out sometimes. But we had some guys that I'm sure aced their SATs or ACTs or whatever they took,
Yeah.
and that was with all three clubs. Just really smart, accomplished because of where they are and what they do, but just smart people. And I mean, I bristle sometimes when I hear somebody talk about a dumb jock, and I go all the way back to my high school because the football team that I'd mentioned that played, remember the Titans. I said we have not that being a doctor or a lawyer is the be all to everything, but sometimes people feel that that's a profession where you've had to put in some time and have some smarts. And I had, oh my goodness, a doctor, a lawyer from my football team, two dentists from my football team. It means that they had to pass organic chemistry too. My baseball team, I was playing third base in high school, and my shortstop's still a practicing doctor. My second baseman still a practicing lawyer. So we had some people that they were smart people, and some people in other professions that are very accomplished too. So I often am defending my teammates at whatever level because we got some accomplished people there, and not just for what they do for a profession, but just in general, just really on the top of the intellectual list.
Thanks. Thank you. That was
Oh,
very
sure.
interesting. And thank you for giving. Is there any particular part of your book that you're really excited to get into? It can be a short dive, but what was something that when you wrote that book you were really happy to write and get out there for everyone to hear?
Oh, that's really a good question. Some of the little things that you probably have to read it, but there's some of the little things that happened along the way that would be specific, probably only to me. And so it was nice in a way to get that off my chest a little bit. But for the most part, as I was saying earlier, I think you'll finish it and you'll have a little smile and get the 2018 edition, whether it's on Kindle or for on Amazon. I actually also have a movie.
Yeah, I
Wow.
read
I
about
lied
that.
about
I
the
read
movie. I
about
have a
that.
movie. It was released in 2013, but the movie, have to tell people, I can promote the movie and warn you at the same time. It's a strong R. It generates for the most part in the clubhouse, so it's
Little
a
bit of baseball
clubhouse
in there.
movie, and
Yeah, a
yeah,
little baseball in it.
yeah. So it's got some hard areas, but it's a laugh or two, and I'm in it way too much. But I figured I was going to go in debt making a movie. I might as well be in it, and but it's fun. It's called Reunion 108, and 108. There's a baseball specific reason for 108. If anybody wants to take a guess at that, what is 108 to baseball?
Hmm.
Silence on the other end. They're thinking.
They're thinking, yeah. What?
108.
All right, time up.
Go
It's
ahead.
the number of stitches in a baseball.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to laugh you into stitches. And that's on its IMDb page, Internet Movie Database page. You can download it from there. But it's out there a little bit. It's a lot like me. It's out there. But we had fun. It was a fun shoot. My goodness, it was. I think we shot 23 out of 25 days, and so it was a guerrilla shoot like that. But it was fun. I think a lot of people really had a good time being a part of it. And we had probably about 25 SAG actors in it, and
Cool.
about 80 actors in total. So,
Well, I'm going to do my best here, and I'm going to bow out because this is Joe's channel. Joe and Nathan put this together, and I want you guys to have your last moment together here. And Joe, thank you. Nathan, thank you. And Billy, thank you. You guys, wonderful job today, all of us. But Joe, you get to the last few questions you want to ask him. And thank you, Billy. Thank you very much.
Sure, CT. Yeah.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you so much. All right, then there were two. So no, I can't thank you enough. I mean, we've been on 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I just can't. I can't thank you enough. Unfortunately, I missed your answer because we froze over here, and I had to reboot. Thank God you guys didn't go off. But I had last heard about Art Rush Jr. and you guys then just became friends, and then we talked about coming into Brooklyn, and you came to Bensonhurst for us.
Yeah, I did you get the part where I missed his show? He called me in spring training.
Yes, that I heard.
Okay, you heard that. Yeah, and we had a show together called The Art of Baseball. Well, he was the art of baseball. He was the host, and I was a contributor where I would conduct interviews from time to time. So we continued there. I remember Tom Lewandowski, and oh golly, what's Frank's last name? I want to say DeGioia, but I'm not sure. But it was on Sports Channel way back in the day of Sports Channel. Yeah. And so I was, and Bill Madden, I think he was a contributor as well, the longtime New York Daily News sports writer.
Yes.
And so it was good. As I said earlier, I like to enhance people's appreciation of the game. So we had an opportunity to interview a lot of people and give you a greater insight. And I enjoyed doing that. If there's anything that I would take some credit for is that I enjoy doing that, and I aim to do it when I get the opportunity.
Do you still do a lot of these types of interviews in and around?
I'm popular this month. I don't know why. I must be getting closer to mortality, but everybody wants to talk to me. No, yeah, I think I've got 2 more in July, and but they're fun. It's fun to talk to people about this. It's a little bit like the enjoyment I would get talking to scouts, because baseball scouts, that's all they do is watch baseball. So especially when I was broadcasting, and Pete Van Meeren of the Braves was great at this. He would go talk to the scouts, and the scouts would be there at 4:00 getting an early meal at the stadium, and we'd just sit around and talk to the scouts, because you can't BS a scout. They know. And when I got a compliment from a scout about something I said on the broadcast, I took that to heart, because you can't. Sometimes I watch a game and I'm going, oh my goodness, 98% of the people probably think that's true, but there are 2% of us that know that was total BS. You can't BS a scout, because that's what they do. That's what they do all the time, and they don't mind imparting the knowledge on you if you know the right questions to ask.
That's great. You know that. I can't thank you. I'm so glad that we're saying hello back and forth on Facebook, and then when I started this, I says, "Oh my God, I got to ask him." If he
Well, let's not make it 34 years next time.
No. If you have something you want to talk about anytime, you can come on NY Yankee Mania anytime you want, and I mean that from my heart.
I know you do.
You're like family. You really are. I never ever forgot what you did. Coming to Brooklyn for some new first. Our name was First Impressions Entertainment, and what you did, we will never forget. And bless, God bless you, your family, and everyone. And that's why I said, my God, I got to ask you.
Well,
So,
Joe, thank you. That's very nice of you to say that.
because,
I can fool some of the people all the time, so it's really nice that you're in that.
No,
in that group.
you didn't fool us. I mean it. I'd like to have you on again.
Sure.
Maybe as the season progresses,
All right.
ends, whatever. And please feel free if you ever want to talk. If you ever want you're breaking something or whatever. Hey, I may not be a big ESPN, but we're here.
I appreciate it, and I treat you the same way I treat somebody at ESPN. So,
well, thank you.
It doesn't
thank
matter.
You so much.
Yeah.
First of all, you and your family are safe. Happy 4th of July, and whatever you do for the summertime, safe. God bless you and your family.
Likewise.
And we'll be in touch again. And I am going to be a pain in the neck. I want you on.
All right. Okay. We'll
Billy,
talk again. Looking forward to
you
it,
and
Joe.
Your family, you stay well, okay?
All right. You too. Safe travels.
Can we hear a little "Let's Go Yankees" for the fans?
Let's go Yankees. My goodness.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, that's right. The next person I'm going to talk to is going to ask me to say, "Let's go Blue Jays."
Oh, I don't want to hear that. No, but thanks
I
so
try
much.
to stay in the middle of all of this. But
thanks so
thank
much.
you. Those are very kind
We'll
words, Joe. I appreciate those. Thank you.
And
all right.
We're gonna pull you. We're gonna push your book, baby.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Joe.
You take care. Thank you. Well, that was a great interview, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. That was Billy Sample. He is aces in my book, and he'll be aces for NY Yankee Mania. And by all means, go check out that book. It is exciting. It's fun. And if you really want to be in that Yankee locker room, that's the book to look at, everyone. So listen, we have a pregame show starting in about 40 minutes. So I'm going to sign off now, but if you'd be all kind enough to come back at 4:00, and we're going to have our pregame show. So with that in mind, I just want to get myself back, have 5 minutes, maybe have a cup of coffee, and get ready for you guys at 4:00. So with the pregame show, and we'll update you with everything. Stephen B., thank you. I see that Verdugo got released by Atlanta. Don't worry. I don't think the Yankees will bring him back under no circumstances. You have Dominguez. There's no reason at all. So let's hope. I don't think that's going to happen, guys. So remember, everyone. Like I said, we're going to have our pregame show at 4, and then as the last out happens tonight, I'll have my postgame show for you guys. And in the middle, if there's any Yankee news, any trades, anything in the roster, just come back to NY Yankee Mania. If you like the content, please press the like button. And I know I have about 10 people on my on the email saying, Joe, we're just getting home. We're gonna watch these streams. So thank you so much. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to NY Yankee Mania. As you can see, we have former players, former Yankees, you name it. We're gonna bring it to you. But I need for you to subscribe. That is very important. Please do that, everyone. Thank you so much, Stephen B. Thank you, and thank you for coming on this morning. That was very, very cool of you. And we will have you again a lot more. And again, we'll be back at 4:00. So hang in there, everyone. Thank you. God bless you all, and God bless America. And let's go Yankees. Thank you, Billy Sample. You're the best. Thank you.